Regardless of your skill level, by the end of this video, you're gonna learn how to win infinitely more games before you start playing or as you're diving into College Football 26. Now, I've competed in football games for a long time and made thousands of dollars doing it, so I can guarantee everything I show in this video will help you win. So if you're looking to get ahead before the game drops or catch up fast after it does, stick around. The tips get better as we go, and if you want more like this, now's the time to hit subscribe. In the first tip, I'm going to show you how to shade and route commit. That will no doubt result in countless picks and defensive stops for you. In College Football 26, they made it so shading matters more than ever. Shading over the top will do a much better job at guarding deep routes, and shading underneath will make them clamp hard on short routes. And of course, you can still shade inside and outside to stop those hard to guard out and in breaking routes. But if you really want to take a route away, that's when you're going to use the brand new route commit feature, which is a high risk, high reward guess that makes your man coverage either stick on like glue or get absolutely torched. First, I'm going to show you how to basically shade your coverage, and it's really easy to understand. So I'm going to cover one defense, and to shade your coverage, you press triangle or Y, and then you'll see your 4 adjustments. You can shade over top for streak routes, you can shade inside for in-breaking routes, outside for out-breaking routes, and underneath for shorter routes. The other thing that I do want to note is that you can combine shading. So you can shade outside and underneath, you can shade over top and inside, you can do tons of different things like that. So let's say, I'm going to give you guys a good use case here, we're going against this flight concept. We have the corner, we have the flat, we have the streak. What's the most dangerous route to man coverage here? The corner. So what you would want to do is shade outside because it's an out-breaking route. I'm just going to shade outside, look something like this. You can see them visibly move to the right. Now, what that'll usually do is push this player out a little bit, right? I've been playing around here so he doesn't actually go out, but you're gonna see that the corner is going to be well covered, right? But what you'll also note is that the majority of the time, especially when you shade outside, that any in-breaking route is likely to be wide open. So take a look at square here. You can see he's wide open for an easy possession catch the majority of the time. So how are we going to guard an out-breaking route that's beating us as well as an in-breaking route? Well, that's when the new individual shading, or what they're calling it now, route committing, comes into play. And this is a high-risk, high-reward guess that you can use on a player when you're guessing their route, okay? So I'll give you an example here. So I'm going to shade outside to stop the corner route, triangle, and then right on the right stick. Super basic, okay? But then we also want to stop this post route on the solo receiver. So what you can do is press triangle or Y, X or A. Then you're going to want to select the receiver that is going to be on that in-breaking route. So that's Morgan here on the left. Press square. And then what I'm going to do, on College Football 25, it'll say shade left, shade right, press and back off. But on College Football 26, this should be a new menu for route committing. And if it's not, it still has the same route committing effect. So we can actually shade him to the right. So now what do we have here? Well, we have the corner route being covered by shade outside coverage, and we have the post route being covered by shade inside coverage, creating a very, very strong man coverage. You can see literally both of those routes are completely caged, and your opponent's either going to be forced to take a sack or throw you an easy interception. So that's the basics of shading your man coverage and using the route commit feature. In the second tip, I'm going to teach you how to bomb every defense. And this is easily the most transformative tip to help you start dominating on offense. The first style of bomb I'm going to show you is the basic post bomb, and it's going to look something like this. What's going to happen is the corner route on the solo receiver is going to hold down any deep zones, and then the streak is going to hold any interior deep zones, which allows us to throw the deep post for an easy touchdown. So how do we set this up? Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to first streak our tight end, put a post on R1, stem that post up 1 notch with the D-pad. We're going to put a drag on our backside receiver and a corner on the solo. Now, I know I'm in a Y-off trio formation, but you can do this exact same concept in trips, tight, literally anything. Just takes a little bit of testing, but in general, this concept works 100% of the time. I've been doing it in tight doubles. You can do it in bunch. You can literally do it in anything, okay? So right now we're going against a cover 4 drop defense. And what you're going to see, as I mentioned before, is that the deep post is going to get over that deep outside quarter and to the side of the other route and allow us to throw it for an easy touchdown or 50+ yard gain. Now versus a cover 2 defense, as long as they're using the mid read, I will say this, if they're using the mid read and they play the deep zone or they play the deep post or streak, this won't be open. But if they go and play something underneath, right, which a lot of the times they will, that's when you're going to be able to hit this exact same route concept, but you're going to be able to throw either the tight end streak, like so, with the possession catch. Hopefully he holds on to it, or you're going to be able to throw the post route on the break. So it's a big game versus cover 2, but it's a touchdown versus cover 4 and cover 3. Granted, the vert hook played really deep there. So I will say this though, this is my least favorite style of bomb, but it is the most common bomb that you can use in all these different formations. But I'm going to show you some things that you're going to like probably 10 times more. This next bomb I think is 10 times better, and it's called the shock bomb, and you could use it against a lot of different defenses, and you could find them in pretty much any play that has the name shock in it, and it usually has this nice slot fade route. Now the reason this slot fade route is so good is because it can be stemmed, and not many people know that. So when I say stemmed, you can use the custom stem mechanic. So pressing triangle or Y, pressing the receiver icon, holding the left bumper, and then pressing up on the D-pad 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? That makes this route go up, diagonally out, and then up again, which opens up a huge window for some pretty cool bombs that work against cover 4 and cover 3. So right now we're going against a cover 4 defense, and you need to make 2 extra adjustments to make this work at its highest clip. So what we're gonna do is streak our tight end, okay? That's really important. And then put a curl on the outside most receiver and stem up that curl 1 time. So it looks like this. And what you're gonna see happens on this play is that the curl route will pull down any deep outside zone, leaving the fade route wide open. So 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do it one more time. You can see it was wide open there. The Georgia pass rush is insane. Snap the ball, give it a second. Wait, and bang, you could throw it in this window. So you don't need as much time as you would for that deep post bomb, and you're still gonna be able to annihilate cover 3 and cover 4 relatively quickly. Now this next bomb is pretty insane. We'll call it the inside third freeze bomb, or it's just a cover 2 bomb in general. Maybe it's cover 2 hybrid as well. So we're gonna go against a cover 2 defense, okay? So we're gonna call it cover 2, and it's a defense with 2 deep halves on the field. So obviously the middle of the field should be open. But you have to be able to pull deep halves outside in order to take advantage of the middle of the field. So we're once again in Y off trips. We have 3 receivers on one side of the field. You always want them for all these bombs on the wide side of the field, okay? We're gonna put a corner on our tight end, a streak on the slot receiver, and it's just gonna look something like this. Now versus cover 2, this will suffice, but I also recommend putting a backside drag on just for a better route combo. And then if you wanna actually freeze the inside third, you need the drag. So I'm gonna snap the ball, and what you're gonna see is that R1 is going to be wide open if you just pass lead it really aggressively to the inside, okay? Now, although that is one of the best safeties in the game, probably the best, I could be wrong, we're still able to find that window, because what happens is the tight end will pull that deep half outward, allowing you to throw the streak in between him. So once again, see him pull him outward and then throw it. You see how wide open that is? Racket, touchdown, every single time versus cover 2. Now, once you hit someone with that, they're probably gonna be like, okay, well, that's really, really easy to stop, right? Especially a good player. I'm just gonna put an inside third on the backside guy, because they're gonna want to put cover 2 on this side of the field, because you're gonna hit them with shock routes, right? Because the shock bombs are so insane. Once again, you can do this in tons of different formations. It's not just this one, okay? They're gonna wanna put cover 2 on that side of the field. So they're gonna put an inside third here on the backside. And you're probably like, okay, well, now it's definitely stopped. But what if I told you you actually can just freeze this third? So what happens is this drag will cause the inside third to backpedal instead of turning around. And what happens is when I snap this ball, you're gonna see he's gonna freeze, and you're gonna be able to throw it right over him. Bang, easy touchdown. And this isn't even with, takeoffs. This isn't even with 99 speed. This is with relatively slow receivers in Morgan. I think Morgan might be 90 speed, I could be wrong. Against some of the best safeties in the game, and we're still finding huge windows. So that beats cover 2 and cover 2 hybrid defenses, and it pairs really well with the shock route concept. So if you want to bomb every defense, Y off trips is great, but you can do this in trips, bunch, almost any formation. Heavy blitzes are going to be the most popular defense you face online. So for tip number 3, I'm going to give you a foolproof plan to counter them. To block heavy blitzes, the first thing you're absolutely going to have to understand is blocking your running back, unless you have a very specific pass protection to stop it, won't work. So let me just show you why. When you block a running back, people are just going to slide away from your running back. They're going to hover on the running back side of the field, and especially if they have quick jump, they're going to scream at you, right? You can pray that your extender, if that's in the game, ends up breaking a bunch of tackles, but they're going to scream at you. So I urge you, do not be an in-between player. Either send 5 out or commit to stopping the blitz, don't just block your running back and expect it to work for you. Now there's two ways to block heavy blitzes. There's motion blocking and then there's blocking your tight end. But you have to set them up in specific ways and you have to set yourself up for success, okay? So against a heavy blitz, I'm gonna set it up the exact same way, the heavy blitz that is. We're gonna motion block. And when you motion block, you don't wanna max protect. If you max protect, you're only gonna have a few reads. And if you're playing a good opponent, they're gonna stop your first read and you're gonna get sacked, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're going to put our running back on a route. We're gonna put everyone on a route besides the player we're gonna motion block. So in this case, we're gonna motion block the tight end. We're gonna ID opposite the side of the motion block, okay? And then we're going to bring the tight end inside, snap the ball, and you can see the blitz is pretty well picked up. Granted, they can shed you, and they will shed you, okay? The blitz isn't, you're not gonna have all the time in the world just because you're motion blocking. You're going to have time to make your first and probably your second read, okay? And that's enough most of the time against this style of defense. Motion block, snap, you're gonna see everyone gets picked up and you're gonna have enough time to make your read. Wheels are great on your running back. You want drags, you want zigs, because usually they're gonna be in cover zero. Now way number two, a lot easier, okay? But I think it's less effective because you can't choose who you actually wanna block. And that's just blocking your tight end. So you block your tight end, ID opposite the tight end, and then you wanna step up with your quarterback. If you don't step up, the players, especially if they're fast, are gonna come down, okay? Step up. You see, you have enough time to make your first, you had enough time to make your second read, okay? So all you're doing here is we're blocking our tight end and we're IDing opposite the tight end. Once again, you don't have time to make a ton of reads. You have time to make your first and maybe your second. Right here, this was our second read, bang, okay? You have your first and second read. This does not always mean that they're going to send 6 people. If they send 4 or 5, you're gonna be able to make your third read, your fourth read, and all of this. But you have to be ready to make your early reads, and you know that you're gonna be able to block it and you're gonna have enough time to make those reads, okay? If you just block your running back, you're gonna get screamed at, you're gonna have nothing, okay? So motion block your tight end, ID opposite the side. Super easy, and it'll give you a huge leg up. For tip number 4, I'm gonna show you how to shut down the run by using different run fits. To look at your run fits, what you're gonna do is press R2, then L2, and then you're gonna hold square for left run fits, and then circle for right run fits, okay? Although it looks a little weird and the safeties look reversed, that's just a little bit of a visual bug with cover 4. In general, cover 4 defenses have both safeties and run fits, which means they're very, very good for inside runs. So if I run HB zone weak here, you're gonna see that both safeties are going to come down and go play their run fit, right? Exactly where the running back wants to run through. But when you're playing an outside run, you're not gonna wanna use a cover 4 or a cover 3 defense where the safeties are in run fits. You probably wanna use a cover 2 because cover 2 defenses have the outside corners in run fits. As you can see, the outside corners are now in run fits. So if I try to run an outside run, you're gonna see the outside corner is gonna see it and try to play it. Granted, he did get blocked. You can see he turns around very quick and tries to make a play on that, which is really, really important for stopping outside runs. But most players will argue that the best run fit is man coverage. Now, if you run man coverage, most players are gonna respond to the run very, very quickly, right? If you look at the run fits for man coverage, they look a little weird. It looks like it's only the core players, but you're gonna see that the other players respond extremely well. They come down quick, they're right there, right? But there are some cons to running man coverage. Before I just say run man coverage against the run, it's amazing. So as you can see on this play HB stretch, both of my receivers have like little stems. But if they were to have a long stem, let's say I run HB zone weak, you're gonna see that the receivers are gonna run like they're on routes, and then the outside corners aren't gonna respond super well. As you can see right there, you know, Texas defense is amazing, but you have to keep in mind when you use man coverage, if they have stemmed routes on the receiver, your outside corners or the players manned up to these receivers are going to be 10, 15 yards down the field. And as you can see, granted, if that safety doesn't make a huge play, we're gonna be able to get a really, really big gain. So you wanna keep that in mind. Cover 0 against most general runs, but if you notice they have stemmed receivers, cover 4 or cover 2. Cover 4 for inside runs, cover 2 for outside runs. And that'll really help you stop heavy run players because you'll know exactly how your defense is going to play. Before I show you the next 6 tips, and trust me, you don't want to miss them, I highly recommend you try victoryformation.gg if you actually want to be an elite college football 26 player. And there really is no better time, seriously, because our once a year pre-sale is live and it saves you half off the regular yearly price. That means you get a full year of pro schemes and breakdowns for both Madden and CFB 26 for just $40 $45 compared to $180 if you paid monthly. So if you're ready to join thousands of players taking their game to the next level with victoryformation.gg, click the link below or scan the QR code to start improving today. Now, if you really want to be a pro, you're going to have to sometimes use pass defense to stop the run. So for tip number 6, I'm going to show you how to shoot shotgun runs in the backfield very consistently. The gap shoot technique I'm about to show you has been passed down from like generation to generation. It worked all the way back in like Madden 15, 16, 17, 18. And of course it works in college football 25, and we can expect it to work in college football 26. And it's actually a fundamentally good concept, right? It's not super glitchy or anything like that, okay? So what we're gonna do is we just have to keep in mind who's blocking who, right? So if I run this inside zone, I know for a fact that both of these linemen, the left tackle's gonna block the defensive end and the left guard's gonna pick up the linebacker, okay? And you're gonna be able to see this. I'm gonna snap the ball, he's gonna go pick up those players, and it's gonna be, you know, a pretty big gain for your opponent. So what's the easiest way? Well, the easiest way is to just grab your slot corner, know he's not gonna get picked up by anyone in the box, and if they run inside zone, sprint to the guy, make the tackle in the backfield, right? But we can actually replicate that in a bunch of different ways. You can actually just move this linebacker over. He doesn't need to be in a loop blitz or anything like that. You put him in a mid-read, put him in coverage, doesn't matter. And then now, if they try to run through the gap, you're there with your linebacker, right? So it's super, super easy. All you gotta do is sit outside the tackle box, have something for the other offensive lineman to guard, and you're gonna be able to shoot almost any gap in the game, right? Super easy, and you are going to get lots of 3rd and short, 4th and short stops because they're gonna run the ball and you're gonna be there to hit them. One of the most effective techniques you could use at the start of college football 26 is rolling out. So for this tip, I'm gonna show you how to properly set up your rollouts. Now there's 2 ways I recommend you roll out. Number 1 is by simply blocking your tight end and then double teaming the furthest outside defensive player on the tight end side of the field or the side you're gonna roll out to, okay? So hold the left bumper, down on the right stick, and then click the defensive end in this case. And what you're gonna see is your players are gonna get leverage to the inside, allowing you to roll out and then hit this easy corner route for a big gain against most defenses. And then the other way that you can set up your rollout is also very, very easy, but instead we're not gonna block our tight end. We're actually just gonna motion block someone. We're gonna motion block, snap the ball, that player is gonna double team or get leverage to the inside, and you're gonna be able to throw pretty much any pass you want to. You're gonna get a ton of time, and any player that's near you is gonna get picked up by the motion blocker, and if you use the other technique, he's gonna get picked up by the tight end. So that's what I recommend you do when you want to roll out. The most common defense you're going to face online is cover 4 drop. So for tip number 7, I'm going to show you how to absolutely annihilate it. To beat cover 4 drop, outside of the bombs that I talked about at the beginning of the video, you just want to attack the 2 easiest windows at the same time. So what I'm talking about is the window between the hook zones and the flat zones, right? Now most players will have to send 4 in their defense, but let's make it harder on ourselves, and let's show you how to beat it even if they have both hook curls. So what I like to do is call combos with whips and flats, because the whip attacks that nice soft spot and you're gonna be able to hit it for 5, 6, 7 yards every single time. Now on the short side of the field, you can also attack that window as well. So if I put a smoke screen, or let's say a halfback table route on the field, okay, right here, you're also gonna be able to attack that window. Why? Because the flat route will pull out the curl flat zone or the hard flat zone, whatever they're using, leaving the drag route wide open. You can see you're gonna be able to attack that window on either side of the field. And if you wanna create route combos out of this, you can do something like out of branch return, right? We're gonna attack that window. We have a drag route, we have a return route. We could throw the drag in this play, we could throw the return in this play, and that's why cover 4 drop users struggle so much against that style. Now let's say you don't wanna use return routes, you don't wanna use whip routes. You can still even use hitches. Even hitches attack this window really well. You know, you can still hit it beneath those hook curls. And that's when other things start to open up. If they start blitzing, if they start doing things like this to try to stop it, or they use her aggressively, that's when you can just start throwing like seams, right? Easy possession catch seams. And the reason plays like this were so good in college football 25 and will be in college football 26 is because it attacks both of those windows as well as stresses the user, because they have to either cover this table route with the hard flat, cover this drag, cover this return route, because the drag and the return route attack those windows, or they're gonna end up giving up that post, right? So let's actually run that one more time so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's say for some reason, they're able to guard these routes. Let's assume that they're covered, even though they'll probably be open. You're gonna be able to this post beneath the safeties, right? So that's really how you want to attack cover 4 drop. You want to attack those windows, and make your opponent adjust or get out of it. because those windows will give you 7-8 yards at a time, and that'll really eat at your opponent, and you'll move down the field with ease on top of using the bombs I talked about at the beginning of the video. Tip number 8 is using the switch stick properly. So I'm going to show you 3 basic switch stick techniques that will get you way more interceptions. The first technique I'm going to show you is switching to your flat and knowing what to look for. We'll call it the flat pull-up / in technique, right? So you're going up or you're going in, because typically a flat is just going out. But if you counteract that by going inside and covering a different route, or going up to cover a deeper route, you're going to have a lot of success. So right now I'm in cover 4. If you're going against the very common route combo that you're absolutely going to see a ton of in college football 26, the zig flat concept that I talked about all the way. For years I've been talking about this concept. You're going to want to switch stick to the flat and pull in to cover the zig. So that's just one example. So in this case, I'm on defense. They're going to snap the ball, right? I'm on offense right now, my apologies. They're going to snap the ball. You're going to see the zig, you're going to pull in, right? And a lot of the time, they're going to see that player step out and they're going to instantly throw that zig because they're going to read his initial kind of movement there, and he's on a flat. So you're going to see, they're going to read it, they're going to try to throw it right here, but you're actually pulling inside at this point. They see this guy come out, they're like, okay, I'm going to throw it. You pull inside and you're going to go make a play on that zig every single time. Now the other technique, slightly different. Instead of going inside, we're going to go up and outside. Most of the time they're going to see you just on a short route. So let's say they run a stem down corner, probably one of the best routes in the game. If switch stick wasn't a thing, this would be the best route in the game, this stem down corner, okay? And if you're playing a stem down corner, which would normally beat a hard flat, what you're gonna wanna do is go switch to your hard flat and go play it. Super easy to do, and it's really effective. So just be aware, the best player you can switch to usually is the strong side slot corner, whether he's in a vert hook or a flat, usually flat if you're running cover 4, and try to make a play on players that they wouldn't expect, you know, routes going to the inside and then coming out, or corner routes that are going really high up, okay? If you do that, your switch stick will already be better than like 60% of people. Now this next technique, we're gonna call the corner double switch. And if you played college football 25 or Madden 25 at all, especially with the addition of the switch stick that year, and then of course in college football 26, we're also gonna have the switch stick. One of the most common combos you're gonna go against is something like this, okay? What happens is they have a flat route, a deep corner, and a fade. Now, here's the issue. If you use the technique I just showed you, the flat pull-up technique to go play the deep corner, you're gonna find that you're leaving the flat wide open, right? And that's pretty obvious. You can see the flat's gonna be open and they're gonna probably throw it, right? And then even smarter players will actually stem down their corner. So they're gonna stem down their corner a little bit. So you have to switch stick it quickly. And what ends up happening, you're like, oh, I see a corner, and you come up and they throw their flat and they get 10, 15, 20 yards, right? You can see that. So what I recommend you do is you do the double switch. Now the double switch is really effective, and it's something that you could use a lot when you ever see a corner route concept, because usually when they have a corner route concept, they are flooding that side of the field. They have a flat. So what I like to do is you'll switch to the flat and you're like, okay, well, I need a flat defender still. So you switch up to the corner, okay? This sounds like it's really easy to do, and now that I'm explaining it, you guys are gonna know it really quick, but this will take many players a lot of time. Most players with their switch stick will only switch stick once and then try to play everything with the player they just switched to. But this is a nice double switch. You'll catch a lot of people. They see you switch to the flat, they're like, okay, I'm gonna have the corner, and then you actually switch to the outside corner to go and cover that corner out. And then suddenly, they're pretty much completely caged. Like nothing's open here. If they try to throw the end, they're gonna throw it to the player that you started on, right? This is a basic technique, but it'll, I promise, get you a ton of interceptions when your opponents try to throw that style of combo on you or just flood concepts in general. The next technique is the safety pull down, and we're doing this out of a cover 4 based defense. Granted, we have cover 2 on one side, but we're really just focusing on this inside quarter. So one of the most common combos we played in college football 25, Madden 25, and it will be common again in college football 26, is a play where they have a backside post, right? They have a bunch of slants, things like that, but mainly a backside post. And to stop a backside post, you can switch stick this player and move up and go play it, right? The reason I don't do that as much is because usually when there's a post, there's a drag, and you're gonna be leaving that drag route wide open. So what I like to do the majority of the time is, as soon as I see that post, I'm gonna switch stick to the safety and come down, and then go and play that post route. It's a really easy technique, and you can get lots of picks, because most of the time, as soon as players see that safety moving back, They're going to try to throw it, you're going to switch stick down, and you're going to go make a huge play and intercept it. So that is my 3 favorite switch stick techniques that you could learn almost instantly to start beating your opponents and getting a ton of interceptions. Tip number 9 is reading defenses. And this is easily the best tip here because 99% of your online opponents won't disguise their coverage. And you'll know exactly what they're in after watching this section. The first technique we're going to use to read defenses is counting the number of safeties. If you see that there is 1 safety on the field, they can really only be in one of 2 defenses. They could be in cover 1 man coverage that looks like this, or they could be in cover 3 zone coverage that looks like this. But if they have 2 safeties, they have 3 really popular possible options. Number 1, they could be in cover 4, whether it's match or regular cover 4 drop. They could be in Tampa 2, which looks something like this, or they could even be in cover 2 pressed man that looks like this. So that's how we can separate it into 2 categories off the rip. If you see 1 safety, it's cover 1 or cover 3, and if you see 2 safeties, it's cover 4 or cover 2 in general. Now that we've separated it into these 2 categories, we need to go even deeper. So let's say we have 1 safety, which means they could be cover 3 or cover 1. We need to see if they're in man coverage. How do you do that? Well, the easiest way by far is to flip. If you see the slot corners or the corners following very quickly, they're in man coverage, and since they have 1 high safety, they're in cover 1. But if they were in zone coverage, you're gonna see that when I flip my formation, they're not gonna follow, right? And if they don't follow, chances are they are in a cover 3 defense. You can also generally tell that the players aren't man aligned. Now, the other way you can tell is you can motion. So if I were to motion this receiver over, if no one follows, chances are they are in zone coverage. And if someone did follow, there would be in man coverage. Now I'm gonna go back to what I was in at the beginning, and we're gonna go over 2 safeties. We need to tell if it's cover 2 man or maybe zone coverage. So it's the same logic here. If I flip or motion and no one follows, they're in zone, which means they could be in cover 2 like this, or they could even be in cover 4, okay? But if I flip and someone does follow or motion, you don't always have to flip, chances are they're in cover 2 man. 2 safeties and someone's following, aka they're in man coverage, they're in cover 2 man. So that's how you can separate. We're already done with 1 safety completely. If there's 1 safety and it's man coverage and they follow, it's cover 1. If there's 1 safety and no one follows, it's cover 3. But on the other side of things where there's 2 safeties, we've only really eliminated 1 coverage, which is cover 2 man if they don't follow. If they do follow and there's 2 safeties, it's cover 2 man, which looks something like this, right? But if they don't follow, it could be cover 2, which looks something like this, granted the slot corner stuck, or it could even be cover 4, right? So that's what we're gonna talk about next. Now this is the last step of our reading defense technique, and this is only in the case where they have 2 safeties and the defensive backs are not following when you're motion/flipping, which means they could be in cover 2 or cover 4. And it's super easy to tell at this point, because if they're in cover 2, that means that they have their outside corners at 5 to 6 yards of depth. As you can see, they're about 5 to 6 yards off the line of scrimmage. But if they are in cover 4, you're gonna see that those corners are 6, 7, 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, as opposed to cover 2, once again, where they're only about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. So that's the easy way and the last step of the techniques where you can decipher between cover 2 and cover 4, and all the other defenses you could decipher in the previous steps. Now the concepts I've shown you for reading defenses, although simple, could become difficult to memorize. So I've constructed a flowchart that shows you everything you need to know. In step 1, we simply determine whether or not there are 1 or 2 safeties up top. If there's only 1 safety up top, we move to step 2, where we determine if they are in man or zone. If we use motion and the defensive backs follow our receivers, we know they're in a cover 1. Otherwise, if they stay, they're in a cover 3. If they have 2 high safeties, we then proceed with step 2, where we use motion or flip to determine, once again, if they're in man or zone. If the corners follow our receivers, they're in a cover 2 man defense. Otherwise, we move to step 3. In step 3, we look at the outside corners. If they're about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, they're in a cover 2. If they're 8 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, they're in a cover 4. And that will work 99% of the time in identifying defenses. Feel free to take a screenshot so you can have this handy whenever you play. Now the icing on the cake for this video is rocket catching. Since all the new changes point to a man defensive meta, you're absolutely going to want to learn how to do this. To perform the rocket catch technique, you have to keep in mind that you want to do it with players close to you. So like this solo receiver and this tight end, and not the outside receiver. And to actually do it, all we're gonna do is put a streak on one of these receivers, wait for the defensive back covering them to fully turn around, and then pass lead down and inside. Granted, we did almost get hit there, so the pass lead wasn't as good as we would have liked it to be, but you could see that that pass is very, very easy to hit. So let's do it one more time. Let's make sure we don't get a ton of pass rush in our face early. You're gonna see, wait about a half second. You can see he turns around, pass lead down and inside, and aggressive catch it, right? As you can see, you will run into contact sometimes, so the better receivers you have, the better it'll really work for you. So let's do it a few more times just to show you a couple really good reps, right? Pass lead down and inside, click on, aggressive catch. It's almost like you're clicking on to a curl route, except the defensive back thinks it's a streak route every single time, okay? The other thing is doing it to tight ends is really, really good. So I'm gonna set it up where the tight end is one-on-one with someone. So if you do it with your tight end, you're gonna have a lot of success, in my opinion, because once the defensive back turns around, the tight end's very physical. You're gonna be able to click on and aggressive catch it like a curl. Very easy in the middle of the field. So if you want a rocket catch, once again, it is super, super easy. You can even do it against most blitzes if you can get the time. Snap the ball, wait for a defensive back to turn around, pass lead it down and inside, and aggressive catch it, right? Super easy, kind of a come down, click on like it's a curl route. Really easy. I do recommend you're on freeform or even classic, something like that. You do want to have a slightly higher sensitivity. Anything above 7 is good, but if you're doing it something super low, you won't be able to do it. Classic's great for it. In general, wait for the defensive back to turn around, pass lead down and inside, click on, aggressive catch it like it's a curl route, and you're gonna dominate man coverage. Now that you've learned the best tips you should know before and during college football 26, it's best you learn the mistakes you should be avoiding as well. So click the video on screen to check it out.